Ghent, 1861. Frederick August Kekule sits hunched over his cluttered desk in his office, the December wind rattling the frost-covered windows as candlelight flickers across scattered chemical formulas and research papers. His eyelids are heavy with exhaustion. His mind is weary from months of relentless work on the benzene puzzle. Then, in that liminal space between waking and sleeping, a vision emerges. A serpent of atoms writhing through his consciousness, suddenly seizing its own tail in an elegant and perfect ring. A mathematical beauty to behold, changing chemistry forever. The serendipity of that serpentine daydream is similar to what struck Isaac Newton under the apple tree, or Archimedes in his bath. Sometimes the mind is a mysterious box where ideas are both alive and dormant, until unlocked, and like a cat, we curiously peer outside ourselves where ideas quantumly collapse into being. This episode is about why creative paralysis happens when we're stuck in cycles of overthinking, repeating our anxieties, and devouring our own potential on loop. I'm Mikaal, and this is the Black Enso. Earnestness is important for this, so please suspend your cynicism. We've been taught to dig deep for our creativity, excavate from within, to find it like some buried treasure in the catacombs of our soul. But I'm proposing that's a myth, a misconception. Your creativity isn't hiding in some undiscovered chamber inside of you. It's encoded in every scar you've earned, every heartbreak you've caused, every moment that's shaped you. The Ouroboros, that ancient symbol of serpent consuming its own tail, gave Frederick August Kekule his scientific breakthrough. But there's something to learn about why snakes actually eat their own tail. It turns out it's from stress, confusion, and or confinement in too small a space. The snake, in its hunger, confuses its own body for prey and starts consuming itself, thinking it's surviving when it's really self-destructing. Similarly, the artist's creative paralysis, churning through cycles of the same thoughts, mistaking mental rumination for progress, all inside the small space of our overcritical mind. Kekule's breakthrough with benzene didn't only come from tirelessly staring at his notes. It came when he was finally ready to be a conduit for the idea. The vehicle happened to be a dream after he had saturated his mind with the problem. The dream was the magnet, the research was the metal. Creative paralysis isn't the absence of ideas, it's the presence of too much stress, confusion, or that trapped feeling in an endless loop of questioning your ideas. We analyze until we paralyze. Sounds like some slogan Jesse Jackson would say. But this is the creative paralysis paradox. The more we try to force ideas, the more we lock ourselves out of ideating. But what if creativity isn't something you possess, but something you're possessed by? A frequency that only broadcasts when you've tuned your life to receive it, through a specific combination of encounters, places, and experiences in a very specific order. The effectiveness of religious leaders, motivational speakers, and life coaches operate on the same principle. They don't invent new wisdom. They remix timeless truths in just the right combination at just the right moment for you to really hear it, to unlock your resistance to change, to growth. Life is all about unlocking, about combinations that click open doors you didn't even know existed. You're not a creative genius waiting for inspiration to strike. You're more of an artistic locksmith, experimenting with endless experiences in the hopes that you will eventually unlock your access to create something remarkable. Rick Rubin, the brilliant bearded sage of music production, famously doesn't read music, rarely gives technical notes. He just sits, listens, and receives, sensing for when the music is authentically itself. The meaning of that is for another time. Rick Rubin says, quote, "I don't know anything about music. My job is to listen, to feel whether it's alive," end quote. He refuses to overthink. Some might say he doesn't think at all, and that's his genius, I suppose. His radical receptivity, his reliance on instinct over intellect, on presence over precision, is what makes him a modern-day musical oracle. He's not chasing lightning in a bottle. He's becoming the still and quiet vessel the lightning strikes inside of. That's the practice. The receptivity isn't passivity. It's about surrendering and being ready to receive what's already circling you. When John Coltrane conceived A Love Supreme, he prayed and meditated in isolation for a week, barely coming downstairs. So says his wife, Alice. Then Alice described him emerging like Moses coming down from the mountain with the complete composition, not forcing the music, but creating a sacred space for it to flow through him. The results was one of the greatest albums ever recorded, not because it was planned, but because it was prepared. Toni Morrison describes how she always tried really hard, even with minor characters, to listen for, to receive their dialogue. She believed in approaching characters as strangers as opposed to her puppeted creations. Like Rubin and Coltrane, Morrison understood that great art comes from deep listening, not forcing characters to speak, but creating the conditions where their authentic voices could emerge. Which makes me think of a falling feather, drifting down slowly from the sky. If you lunge for it, the sheer force of your motion creates a current that blows the feather away. Even a gentle grab will disrupt the air. But if you stand still, it will eventually land in your hand. Uncoil your thoughts, step out of the loop, and be still so you can feel the static in the air. Okay, be more open. But how does one actually do that? How does someone become a lightning rod, a vibe conduit? Well, like all things creative, it's wax on, wax off. It's easy yet elusive, obvious and somehow obscure. As difficult and challenging as giving birth is, anyone can do it if they're physically able to. Similarly, anyone can conjure a brilliant idea so long as they're creatively able to. Great art is not born through mental labor alone. It requires conditions, preparations. You need space, safety, and sometimes a little pressure. Don't try to be the god of your creativity. Be the midwife, the idea doula. Learn the art of breathing and when to push and when to be patient. Cultivate and create contractions. Free write without an agenda. Return to your obsessions. Wander without headphones. A la Picasso, we should all be trying to revert to our childhood wonder, avoiding the seduction of cynicism. Then, when the pressure builds, you prepare to produce. When you've been ruminating on something for a long time, and then it's clear that it's time for the idea to come out of you. But the moment you have the unbearable need to produce it, there's a problem. The floodgates of the idea have opened, and yet it won't come out of you, at least not easily. This is when the labor begins, the truly painful process of being creative, when the stress, confusion, and confinement play on loop, your mind eating its own tail. But you don't need better ideas. You need a better process for relaxing your mind to receive what's already trying to come to you. Finding a way to surrender control, trust the flow, and be patient no matter how painful. Pushing the idea out of you will likely be bloody, but it will certainly be beautiful. The Japanese concept of ikigai is the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. But I think there's a fifth element. It's what must be born through you and only you. We all have to remember that there are some things that only you can create. Like our offspring, the combination of our genes, DNA, sensibilities, and so on will create something wholly unique and idiosyncratic when it comes out of you. No two snowflakes are alike. Be your own idea doula. This is the difference between force and flow, between manufactured and organic, between regurgitating and reimagining. Let go and let it come through you. Here's something we all often forget. Resistance is not your enemy. It's your guide. We need to remember that those moments of creative paralysis, those walls that feel impossible to scale, aren't obstacles, but guardrails. Joseph Campbell, famous American mythologist, clarified his original statement on following your bliss. He said, quote, "When you follow your bliss, and by bliss I mean the deep sense of being in it and doing what the push is out of your own existence, it may not be fun, but it's your bliss, and there's bliss behind pain too," end quote. He concluded that he should have called it follow your blisters. Pain and failure can be a compass. When something isn't working, when you're hitting wall after wall, when the rejection letters pile up, the resistance you feel might be your intuition telling you to find a different path, not abandon the journey entirely. The brutal truth is, not everyone will be brilliant at everything, or be as brilliant as they hope to be at a thing. We all have poured our hearts into a project that will never love us back. Your passion might be unrequited. Your dreams might be bigger than your talent. And that's not a failure of character, that's information, guidance. Because it might turn out that your talent is beyond brilliant in another medium. Campbell says, quote, "My bliss is not your bliss. I have to discover my own bliss by listening to myself, following clues dropped by the greater part of my being," end quote. Some of you are chasing someone else's bliss because it looks shinier, more validated, more profitable. But the thing that makes you come alive, even if it hurts, even if it's harder than you expected, even if nobody understands it, that's your bliss. This is frequency matching, aligning your creative practice with your natural gifts. It's about becoming a tuning fork for your ideas which no one else can make. Listen deeply to the static between stations. Keep tuning by turning the dial until you find the frequency that's broadcasting something only you can hear. When you finally start receiving a clear signal, that's when your bliss reveals itself. Not only sounding pleasing, but sounding like purpose. Kekule's benzing ring was not just a scientific revelation. It was a masterclass in surrendering to the subconscious. He spent an incredibly long time chasing the answers to his research, tilling the land of his mind so that his subconscious could receive the seed of an idea. No matter how surreal and strange it surely was for him at the time, a serpent eating its own tail. This is what it means to follow your calling. Be a bloodhound to the faint scent of your bliss, devoted to trusting your intuition, not desperately looking for the approval of what's been done before. It's not a mistake that when you're in the shower, on a walk, in that liminal space between sleeping and waking, incredible ideas come to you. You can't engineer inspiration, but you can create conditions where inspiration is more likely to visit. These aren't detours from your creative work, they're portals, pathways that make you more permeable and more attuned. These are moments when your conscious mind relaxes its grip and your deeper intelligence, your eternal essence can emerge. You are not the creator of your creativity. You are its collaborator, its curator. Your job isn't to manufacture brilliance. It's to live with such integrity and openness that brilliance can't help but flow through you. But understand that the creative work is hard. It's incredibly hard. Cultivating the idea, crafting the approach, and creating the product are all Himalayan mountains to climb. Sometimes you're in labor for years. Although it's exhausting, it can be exhilarating, even with the postpartum. The falling feather is drifting down, down, down. But don't grab at it. Just watch as it falls further and further down. Don't force it. Let your eyes gaze at its elegant descent. Let it fall and fall and fall. And then open your hand and let it come to you. Salam and salutations. I'm Mikael, and this is the Black Enso.